Hey everybody, it's Nissa, the Hypnobirthing Midwife. Welcome to our Monday Mums Club. We've got a brilliant guest today, and the topic is postpartum recovery. So something that we don't talk about enough, really important. And I'm just going to hand it right over to you, my lovely. Tell everybody a bit about you.
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm so excited to be here today, and this is such an important topic. So I'm so pleased that you chose this one, because I think it's something that's so neglected in our Western culture. So my name is Tara. I'm a pregnancy and fertility specialist. I'm an acupuncturist. I'm a massage therapist. I'm a doula, and I do placenta encapsulation. And I am all for women and women's health. I have 4 children. I'm a single mum. So I have 2 boys who are aged 12 and 10, and 2 little girls who are aged 7 and 3. So I have probably had most of your pregnancy complaints, or, have been treating them for other people as well. So yes, so there is a big discrepancy in the postnatal period in the East and in the West. So I think the most important thing I would like to say in this whole talk is really that with the birth of the baby comes the birth of the mother. And this is something that is not focused on in our culture at all. All the focus is all on the baby. First of all, it's all on the birth, then it's all on the baby. And the mum, I felt myself that I sort of came level somewhere with the family pet after I had my child. It was like everybody else, and then me kind of around the same level as the cat. So obviously that's not great. And it's a really important gateway that you go through. So in Chinese medicine, women have 3 gateways that they pass through. So you have the onset of menstruation, which is when you become a maid. You can liken it to maid, mother, crone, if you're familiar with that, the 3 phases of womanhood. So the onset of menstruation, and then becoming a mother is a major gateway. And it's a huge transition in all of our lives. And then obviously the onset of menopause, which is when you transform into becoming, I'm going to call it an elder, because I'm nearly there myself, not a crone, but same sort of thing. And yes, so the birth of the mother is something that in Asian cultures, in China and in India and in Malaysia and in Bali and all these different places, the mother is mothered by her own mother. And this is not what we get here. So typically what happens here is, you have the picture of the perfect mother who's back in the skinny jeans and going to baby massage class and all that. I mean, that is just a load of rubbish, quite frankly. So it's a really empowering time. It's a really wonderful time. For me, it was a deeply spiritual time. And I have to say that I was looking at this picture of the Venus of, I don't know if you can see that. So you can see what her body shape is. So this is a fertility goddess. So when I had my baby, I think I probably looked quite a lot like that. And I suddenly felt really empowered, and I thought, this is why fertility goddesses are worshipped, because we are the bringers of life. The mothers are responsible for the whole of the human race. So we are all goddesses, really. That's what I want to say. And we need to be honoured as such and looked after, and we need to look after ourselves, and we also need support from partners and from friends and from family if you're lucky enough to have them nearby. So if you were in China having your baby, what they say is that what you do, the practices that you do in the first 40 days are actually going to affect your health for the next 40 years. So I don't want to alarm anybody, but basically that just means really, in China, you would not be going out, you would be lying in bed, you would be feeding your baby, you would be being fed, you would be probably naked, skin to skin, you wouldn't even be washing your hair, you would just be staying indoors, just spending all that time bonding with your baby. So that might be a bit over the top for especially us in the West, but it is worth really bearing in mind that this is a time to replenish your energies, replenish yourself, and if your cup is not full, then you cannot pour for anybody else, as I'm sure we all are fond of saying. But sometimes when it's you, I know that I did this myself with my first baby. I was running around trying to do everything, trying to be perfect. There is no perfect. And actually, I just really wore myself out and I got totally knackered and exhausted and anemic. So it wasn't great, really, because then I wasn't in great shape to look after my baby. So there are certain things within Chinese medicine that we like to focus on post-birth. So really, I think I would like to talk about food, which is really, really important. So when you've had a baby, so I know some of you have got babies there now, you are quite overwhelmed sometimes and a bit exhausted, and it's quite easy to have like cheese on toast, or this is myself I'm talking about now, but actually, you know, what you really need to do is be eating warm foods that nourish your blood and your chi. So after you've had the baby, you have the bleed, and many of us are trying to eat more plant-based diets now. So you really need to make sure that you are getting enough protein and iron-rich foods. So one of the most, I can actually send you a handout if you want, Nissa, with Chinese postnatal foods on it that I can send to you, which goes into much more detail about all of this. But you want to be eating warm foods. You don't want to be eating too much dairy, too much sugar. You're going to want to have a little bit of sugar, but try and you know, also make sure you're eating healthy fats, which will really enrich your milk. So things like avocados, nuts, seeds, you know, butter is a superfood in Chinese medicine, which obviously tastes delicious. If you're going to have milk, you should have full fat milk, and yeah, so healthy fats, oils, hemp seed oils full of omegas. And then really in Chinese medicine, they are big on the chicken stock because it's so tonifying and boosting. So soups, stews, casserole. So if you're vegetarian or if you're vegan, you still want the soups, the stews and the casseroles, but you really want to bump up the protein content. So you really need to be eating black bean and potato stew and soups, prunes, apricots, all of these things. You can make a really nice like Moroccan tagine with using apricots and things like that in it as well. So I would also say that you might not have that much time to cook. So slow cookers are amazing because you cannot make a bad meal in them. It's amazing, it's like magic. You just throw everything in there in the morning and then you leave it and then you have a delicious meal. And I always find that in those early days, if I've got something in the slow cooker, I will eat it. But if I haven't, then sometimes I can't be bothered to even make myself like an egg on toast or something. So I would just go for like a quick snack. But actually, if you've got the slow cooker meal, and make more, always make more than you need. I've got a massive big pot, and I always make double of everything, and then I freeze stuff, and then I've got it if I'm having a busy day later on. So you really want warm foods, you want healthy fats, you want to have protein-rich foods, and then the other really important thing to talk about is sleep, which is a hot topic. So I'm sure you have all heard that you should sleep when the baby sleeps. So this is true. You know, people are not saying this for a joke. Little babies are wonderful as they are. You don't mind waking up for them because they're your baby and you love them more than anything. But it is tiring, and sometimes you can be there for quite long periods breastfeeding, especially with my first one. He was like a little barnacle stuck on me for hours on end, and I felt a little bit frustrated sometimes that I wasn't getting things done. My perception was that I was not getting things done, but actually you are doing something. You're doing probably your most important job ever, which is nourishing and nurturing a newborn child. Even if you're bottle feeding, you're still sitting there nourishing them, nurturing them. And I have a distinct memory of me with a sling on trying to load the dishwasher and getting annoyed because the baby's head, I couldn't bend down basically. And when I look back on that now, I think, what on earth was I doing? You know, just leave the dishes, leave the mess, just leave all of that. You know, your partner can help you to do it. And when the baby sleeps, and I always found with my children that their first sleep of the day, the first morning nap was always the longest. So I think you just have to just put everything down and just go to bed as soon as they go to bed and just really sleep, because if you're not sleeping, you're not going to be really functioning very well, and it's going to affect your appetite and it's going to affect your mood. And if they start crying and things like that later on, it's all going to feel much worse. Sometimes it feels like they're doing it to you on purpose, which of course they're not. So sleeping, yes, is the most important thing. And then, so from a Chinese medicine, oh yes, slings I wanted to talk about. Slings are brilliant. So I only really discovered slings properly in the house. This was like a revelation to me with my third baby. So I had the 2 little boys who were 5 and 3, and then I got a sling, and she loved her sling, and I realised, taken me a few years, that you can wear slings indoors, so you've got your hands free, so you can do things like cooking and things like that. So I would definitely invest in one of those stretchy baby slings, and I'm sure you've got guests talking about slings as well, but slings are a lifesaver. So slow cookers and slings. Apart from that, babies, they don't really need much. They just need you, and they just need to be loved, which, you know, will happen anyway. So that's all good. And then from a Chinese medicine perspective, we do a treatment which is called mother warming, which is after the birth. So we use a moxa stick, and we just basically gently wave that around the abdominal area, and this is to bring blood and qi to this area, and just to stimulate healing and everything else. So when I see people in this country, sometimes I see women who've got a tiny little baby, and they're in the freezer aisle of the supermarket, and they're trying to buy quick ready meals, and I just always want to intervene. I don't, because I'm not that bad, but you know, they're in a cold place, they're with their baby, they're buying food that's, you know, freezer meals are fine if you're in a rush. But, you know, it's just all those things. You just want to be at home, you want to be warm, you want to be rested, and you want to be eating well. Those are, you know, they are all those things. And it goes by in a flash. You feel like something weird happens to time, I think, once you've had a baby. So, you know, some minutes can seem like hours. But then the years just go in a flash. They're gone. My eldest is 12. It's like, God, how did that happen? So it will pass, you know, and it's to try and enjoy it. I'm not saying you have to be, it's tough sometimes, but you don't have to be enjoying and wondering every minute is wonderful. Of course not. But, you know, if you are well rested and well fed and looking after yourself, all of these challenges will seem much easier. So yes, so we do recommend mother warming moxa. And we also, in the East, you would get postnatal massages. So I do see some women for postnatal massage, and the ones that I see, I feel that they recover so much quicker. So I would do like acupuncture and massage with them together in my clinic, Healing Space, which I forgot to mention, which is in Chatsworth Road. And I would do those together, and it's just having a break from the baby for an hour. So you get dad to take the baby or a friend to take the baby for a walk, and you just get to lie down, and you know, your body changes so much during the labour. You know, your coccyx is moving out, you know, you may have had like more pain in your back, your shoulders. Quite commonly I have these ladies who've always got this knot on the left shoulder, because from sleeping on the side, then when you've got the baby, you're feeding the baby, you're gazing at the baby, you're winding the baby, all these things are all heavy on the shoulders. So postnatal massage, I think in India, I think the woman gets a massage every single day. Imagine that, for 40 days, which just sounds amazing. So that might not be possible, but definitely postnatal massage. Even, you know, get your partner trained, get them to watch some YouTube videos, but something just to release the knots and the tension. Because when you're feeding, I think the temptation is the baby cries and you just want them to stop, so you just kind of get them on any old how, and then, you know, you might be in a really weird position, and then they tend to fall asleep, and you might be still trying to hold them in that position. So it's just, you know, making sure that you've got maybe an area in your house that's your breastfeeding area, and you have your pillow, your books, your snack. Get a Kindle. Kindles are amazing for breastfeeding, because you can, they've got a little light on them, and you can just hold them. Really, you might be doing quite a lot of reading. You can get Kindle apps on your phone as well for free. Also good. So yes, and just have that area set up so that, you know, when you get there, you can bring your shoulders down and you're not crunching like this, because it just gets worse and can cause some quite big knots, really. So we don't want those. And then you just need to give yourself time to rest. So, you know, if you sometimes feel that you've had a bad night and you're really tired, and maybe you've booked like a walk with your friends, but you just so exhausted, you just don't feel that you can go, don't go. Ask your friends if they can take the baby for the walk and if you could go to sleep instead. So I think just ask for help. People love new babies. Most people will be very happy to come and hold the baby. If you get a baby that is not a great sleeper, just, you know, ask for help. Help is there. I also recommend placenta encapsulation, which I think is really great. So I encapsulated my placenta with my third and fourth baby and really felt that it really made a big difference to me in terms of my energy levels and my mood. So that's two things that are quite helpful after you've had a baby, feeling like you've got some energy. And that is an ancient Chinese remedy as well. And then I've just put something in here about anxiety. So I think a level of anxiety is normal when you've had a baby. You're their ultimate carer in life, you're their guide, you're their mother. You know, it's an amazing, wonderful honour that a baby's chosen you to be their mother, but it can be quite a responsibility as well. So a healthy amount of anxiety I think is normal, but if you feel that you are struggling and that your anxiety levels are higher than you think that they should be, then again, I would say just ask for help. You know, we have such a better understanding these days about how people can struggle postnatally, and you know, there is lots of help available out there. So you know, and breastfeeding, there's lots of help as well, lots of resources. We have really amazing lactation consultants, but you know, all of these things, see, this is where we don't have the same community that we used to have. So you would have older and experienced mothers who would have helped you to do all these things and maybe taken your children away and maybe even taken your baby and all of that to give you time to rest. And now we're all sort of doing it on our own, and that can be quite tiring. So if you need help, ask for help. And just, I wanted to just mention a little bit about COVID. So I know it's been a bit of a rubbish year, but hopefully with everything that's been going on, it has been a chance for all of you to have more rest than you would have done. So I think there was some study that I was looking at the other day that said actually a lot of babies are coming earlier now, first babies, because the mothers are more rested, which is great. And hopefully, I know this is not the same for everyone. So my partner worked in construction. He went and had to go back to work after 10 days. But hopefully for some of you, you know, your partners can negotiate working from home if possible, and they can be around more for you. And, you know, then it's just so much easier, and it's just really, it can be a really amazing and wonderful time in your life. But I think the main thing is really, yes, it's a transition. It's a huge transition. Sometimes that can feel overwhelming. That is normal. You are becoming a mother as well as giving birth to your first child. And it's really just making sure that you are resting and eating well and sleeping when you can, and ask for help if you feel that you need it. So that's it.
Tara, there was so much gold in that, wasn't there? My goodness, ladies, that was so many good things. Yes, that was brilliant. Let me say, if anybody has any questions that they would like to ask Tara around, it could be definitely postpartum acupuncture, placentas, massage, anything like that, but also pregnancy, if there's anything that you want to ask Tara about. We have her just for a little while. I know she's super busy, but you're very welcome. So I'll just put it out there, ladies. Feel free. I shall give it a moment.
Yeah, I've got a question. Hi. Super interesting. I've taken lots of notes. Thank you very much. I think, you know, that's true that, you know, we think about the pregnancy. I mean, I've read like everything about that there is to read about the pregnancy, but I've just bought my first book about like sort of post-pregnancy recovery. And I know that I've come across lots of things that says that we don't do as much of that. I mean, it's the first I've heard about placenta encapsulation. I've never heard of it before. Mm-hmm. Maybe I haven't read enough yet around postpartum. Can you just explain a little bit the benefits of it, and why would you consider doing something like that as part of the sort of, I guess, postpartum plan?
Yes, yeah. So it's a really ancient traditional remedy from China. So basically, it's your own placenta. So even if you're vegan or vegetarian, obviously it's your own organ. It's the placenta is what we call an extraordinary organ in Chinese medicine because it only grows to nourish your baby, and it's full of stem cells, which are amazing for milk production, and it's full of B vitamins, and it's full of calcium, and it's also full of iron, which I think I'm not sure if I emphasize that enough, but the protein rich, the fatty foods, you really want to be eating a high iron rich diet. So the placenta pills, I pick up the placenta, I chop it up into small slices and dry it overnight in a dehydrator, and then I make very small pills, and they're about that big. They're like, like vitamin pills, the powdered, like if you ever took ginseng or anything like that, it looks very similar to that, and you take 6 of those per day. So for me, the main benefit really was for me the energy levels, that I felt like I had so much more energy. But other people have also said that it's been really helpful for milk production, and there's a lot of anecdotal evidence that it's quite good to prevent postnatal depression as well.
It's super interesting, isn't it? It's an intriguing, very intriguing. Anybody else?
Hello. So I'm 12 weeks postpartum now. Is it too late to get a massage?
No, never too late. No. I'm not sure actually what the official postpartum period is. I still think I'm in mine now, and my daughter's 3, so.
Okay.
Yes, no, it's definitely not too late. No, I mean, it's when you're ready to come, really, and when you feel that you're ready to leave the baby for an hour. So I mean, people come here and they might feed the baby, and then the partner takes the baby out. So that's kind of what I would normally recommend. Yeah, but it's just really nice just to have that time. I mean, yeah, and with the acupuncture as well. So if there are any issues around pain or breast tenderness or breastfeeding or backache or any of those sort of things, then it's really, really helpful. Yeah, and it's nice. Yes.
It's so nice. Of course, amazing to do it in the first 40 days or 6 weeks if you can, but the whole year is so full on for everyone, isn't it? So I think any time that first year is whenever you feel depleted, you need a bit of a boost. Yes. Definitely. Yeah. Are you thinking like maybe I'll book something?
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen an osteopath, but that was maybe 2 weeks after Annabelle was born, and she said, yeah, it was like having a rock in my hands. So I definitely needed some healing done.
Yeah.
Now it's better, but yeah, my pelvic floor, as I was saying before, is not great. So yeah, I still need to do some Kegel and massages would be great, I think.
Pelvic floor, yes, I didn't talk about pelvic floor at all, so that's actually a really good topic. So a lot of people do have issues with their pelvic floor and after post-birth, and actually you shouldn't. So I think in France the gynecologists are much more on it. You actually get a proper postpartum check from everything that I hear from my French ladies, whereas here I think people don't even look at you at the 6-week postnatal check, not unless you ask them to. So if you are experiencing any problems with your pelvic floor, so I'm talking about bouncing on trampolines and weeing yourself, then that is, you shouldn't be suffering with anything like that, so, or feeling that there's anything falling down or anything, so and there is help on the NHS available, and actually we know a really good postnatal physio as well, don't we, Nissa? Neve. So you always go and see her as well, and there are loads of things that she would recommend, like little machines that you can do pelvic floor exercises with an app as well. So there's an app for that, surprisingly. So yes. So don't suffer in silence. It's something that is in the past referred to as women's problems, isn't it? And I think sometimes because of where it is, people can feel embarrassed, but actually, incontinence or problems with your pelvic floor is not normal. So you should, if you feel that it's uncomfortable, we should, and the sooner you go, the quicker it is to recover and to treat as well. So yeah, that's a really good topic. Thanks for mentioning that.
It's a good point, actually. I think, are you French, Marion? I think you might.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So in France, I think, don't you get maybe, is it 5 or maybe 10 sessions with a physio?
I'm not sure how many, but yeah, friends in France, they had physio after birth, and here it's like nothing. I had to go to a gynecologist to ask to be checked because I'm like, this doesn't feel right. And yeah, I've got one side of my pelvic floor that doesn't contract at all. So yeah, so one side is doing all the work. So I have to wait for my nerves to grow back. But yeah, so taking it easy for now. And yeah, just waiting for it to heal. But yeah, I need to be patient. But it's so weird that nobody really checks you. Even at the 6 weeks appointment, the doctor didn't check. So yeah, I had to really push to get an appointment. So I've got another NHS this time gynecologist appointment this month, but I had to really push and really make it bigger than it is. I was like, I can't walk anywhere, or even not cry on the phone, but I had to make it really bigger than it is to be able to see someone, because otherwise, I don't know if it's COVID or anything, but it's so hard to see a doctor these days. So yeah, it's you feel a little bit on your own, I would say, after birth here. When before birth, you see the midwives quite often, and it's really nice, and you're good care of. And after birth, it's just like, here you go. So yeah, it's a bit tricky. So.
It's such a good point. We're notoriously bad in the UK about postnatal care of baby, pretty good, but after 10 days, 2 weeks, then yeah, it's like you fall off a cliff. Where did the care go? And gynecology, like in the UK, we don't look after women, which is why historically so many women have had prolapses when they hit menopause. So it's a really important thing. So thank you for mentioning it. And there is help out there. You have to seek it and demand it. Anybody else? Any other questions, thoughts, ladies?
Just picking up on the points you're making, Tara, about things that partners can do to help in this time. I just wondered if you had any more reflections on that I can pass on to my partner about things that he can do, support that he can provide, ways in which that he can be extra helpful and supportive.
Are you asking me? Yes, cooking, get them to cook, get them to do the dishwasher. I don't know why I was trying to do that with my baby, in the sling. But yes, so just, things that are going to make you feel better as well. I mean, you're not going to have time to have like a pristine house, but if that affects your mental health, then, get a cleaner if you can, or ask them to step up really and just do more around the house, holding the baby so that you can have a bath, just getting the sling again, and babies love slings, so men can wear slings too, getting them to put the sling on and take the baby out, so you can even just, if you want to lie there and watch Netflix and eat crisps, that's, do that. So I mean, you just need to have a chance to have a bit of your own body back and your own self back, because you've been carrying the baby, they're heavy, aren't they, when you get to the end. And I think when you actually give birth and you realize you can actually now give this baby to someone else which has been attached to you, and you think, God, it's so heavy, I've been carrying that baby around inside of me 24/7. So you need to break. But get them to cook. There are loads of like really good menu boxes now that are even just the ingredients list, so that with menu cards, so that, anybody can learn to cook, or simple meals, or the slow cooker, and just giving you a break. Get them to push the pushchair so you're not having to push it, all of that. But you really just need to sleep and to eat. I think that's the main thing.
Thank you.
Letting them know before the baby arrives. So I with my partner, I just over the months of the pregnancy kept dropping in little bits of like, oh, and you can do this, and maybe this will be good. And by the time that the little one was born, he knew what he was meant to do. So, basically everything.
Can I just add as well? if you are breastfeeding, try to express some milk so your partner can do a night feed and you can sleep. That's really great. Yeah, Annabelle is bottle filled now, so she's got formula, and Louis is happy to do the night feed, so I can sleep a bit more. So
yeah, that's really good, because I found with my children that the first nighttime sleep is always the longest. So the temptation is just to sort of relax a little bit, you know, which is obviously good. But I think actually if you're a bit sleep deprived, going to sleep then when the baby goes to sleep, you actually can get quite a good chunk of time in. And with expressing, I went back to work. I had to go back quite after about 3 months with one of my daughters, and I expressed milk every day, and I never really ever got that much. So my sister would do it. She'd just go, she'd get a whole feed, and I was there struggling so what I found really helpful was I got an electric pump, and I also got the baby to latch on one boob. So I have got big boob and small boob. So I would get baby on small boob, and I would get the pump on the bigger boob, and I would do it at the same time every day. So when I'd got in from the school run, we would sit down together, put the TV on, get my feet up, and I would have the baby on that side. And so if you're doing it at the same time every day, your body makes more milk as well. But if you find that you're expressing and you're not getting much, that is not a reflection on what your baby is getting either. You know, they will be getting enough as long as they've got wet nappies and they're pooing and they're weeing, and you know, they should be fine really. But yeah, I found that really helpful, and then I just froze it all, and it took me 3 days to get like 1 bottle, but you know, I just did it at the same time every day, and that did really help. Yeah.
So in terms of that, do you mean like at the regular time every day you would try to breastfeed or express, or
yeah,
that may sound like a silly question, like breastfeeding the baby and pumping at the same time?
So I pumped on one boob and I fed on the other boob. So she got the letdown because I was having problems with the letdown. So you get this really amazing, weird, tingly feeling, which is the letdown. So the babies are the experts, really. So she would get the letdown, and then the milk would just be coming from the pump. Whereas if I just pumped without her, and it was quicker as well, it saved time because she was getting, and because we were doing it exactly the same time, 9:30, because it was after the school run, your body makes more milk for that time. So it went from 1 ounce to 3 ounces, which is the most I ever got, which is about like that much. But I was able to freeze it and then put it all together, make 1 bottle. Yeah.
Excellent.
So
awesome. Awesome tips. If you're watching this later, everybody, there's lots of really lovely Monday Mums Clubs with other specialists like Tara. So we've got one for more on breastfeeding, more sleep, slings, everything you could want. So you can always hop onto the YouTube, my daughter would laugh at me, YouTube, and watch one of those. But I think we're going to wrap it up. Any last questions, guys, before we let Tara go?
I have a quick question. I'm not sure if you can hear. I was just wondering, and I'm sorry if you covered this earlier, I had to join a little bit late. During pregnancy, you're massively encouraged to kind of keep active, keep mobile, keep exercising in the way that you did before. What would you say for kind of after the babies come, like how to kind of keep mobile, but also resting, and kind of what's the right balance there?
Yeah,
how do you manage that?
That's a great question. Yeah, I'm really pleased that you asked that. So it's really good to move and to keep active, and walking is a really great activity, and you know, you can do it with the baby, and you can put them in the pushchair, you can put them in the sling, and you can go and see a friend, which is also good to socialize and all of those things. If you have been someone who has quite a high level of fitness and exercise is really important to you, I did have one mum who was still running like proper distances at 35 weeks, but she's like the exception, not the rule. Then you probably will want to keep active. But there are loads of things that, especially because of COVID now, there are loads of exercise things that you can do at home. So there are lots of on the YouTube. There's lots of short workouts that you can do. So yoga is also really great, like postnatal yoga, and I know you can subscribe to some channels, and they just do like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And I think it's really good for your mental health as well, just to keep active. And if you can just fit that into part of your day. But I would also say, don't beat yourself up about it, because there are going to be some days where you feel like you're just walking through treacle, and that is normal. But if you're getting one of those sort of treacle days, then just down everything, just down tools, and just sit down and, you know, maybe just go to bed with your baby and just rest and sleep. So you shouldn't be forcing yourself, and you shouldn't be, it should feel good. It should be something that makes you feel good, makes you happy, makes you think, oh yeah, I feel really great, I went on that walk and got some fresh air and some sun on my face. But it shouldn't be something that you think, oh God, I really should be exercising. I don't think I did any exercise for the first 6 months with any of them, apart from walking. Yeah, and then once you start again, you're like, oh yes, it's really great, I really miss this. But it's just when you're ready. And I think there's quite a lot of postnatal exercise specialists would also say, don't do anything strenuous in the first 6 weeks, because you can cause this separation of your stomach muscles as well. So you really want them to knit back together. And if you've had a C-section or anything like that, your recovery might be slightly longer. So listen to your body, and do what makes you feel good, really. Yeah, everything in moderation. Yes.
Lovely, Tara. Yeah, that's such a good one. What makes you feel good? Sometimes we don't think about it like that. That's awesome. Thank you for your time, Tara. You must tell everyone where they can find you and all of your amazing services.
Yes, I am at Healing Space, which is in Chatsworth Road in Hackney E5. So you're all welcome to come and see me here. And the website is of the same name, Healing Space Hackney.
Perfect. I shall put that in the video as well. Thank you. So good to see you, Tara.
Lots of love. Your face. Yeah. All right then. Take care. Bye. Bye.